Some habits don't make a man look weak because they're obvious. They make him look weak because they quietly show who is in control. And the uncomfortable part is this: you can be confident, intelligent, and experienced, yet still undermine yourself through habits you barely notice. The first one is so common, most men mistake it for being a good person. Number 1, chasing other people's approval. Think about the last time you changed what you said because you were worried about someone's reaction. Maybe you agreed when you disagreed. Maybe you stayed quiet just to avoid being judged. Or maybe you made a decision, then looked around to see if everyone approved. Social acceptance can play an important role in human behavior. But when your sense of worth becomes heavily dependent on approval, it can create pressure to conform. Epictetus took a different approach. In the Enchiridion, he placed reputation among things outside our control. Our judgments and actions, however, are more within our agency. You cannot completely control what people think of you. So ask yourself, would you still make this choice if nobody applauded you? If not, you may be giving other people too much control, and that leads to the second habit. Number 2. Constantly trying to prove yourself. Watch what happens when someone feels the need to prove his strength. He talks about every achievement. He needs everyone to know how tough, successful, intelligent, or important he is. Self-promotion can influence perceptions of competence, while excessive self-promotion may carry social costs. The Stoics emphasized character over reputation and external status. You don't need to announce every strength you possess. Let your actions speak. Because here's the real test. What happens when someone doesn't respect you? That's where the third habit appears. Number 3. Reacting immediately when you're angry or disrespected. Someone insults you. Your heart speeds up. Your mind builds the perfect response. Before you've had time to think, you've sent the message, raised your voice, or said something you regret. Feeling anger isn't weakness. The important question is what you do next. A 2024 meta-analysis covering 154 studies and more than 10,000 participants found that strategies reducing physiological arousal can reduce anger and aggression. Seneca devoted on anger to understanding anger and its consequences. Stoic philosophy generally emphasized examining emotional reactions rather than simply letting them control your actions. Create space between the feeling and the action. Pause, then choose. Sometimes the strongest response isn't the fastest one, but losing your temper isn't the only way to lose control. Sometimes you lose it by staying stuck. Number 4. Chronic complaining and rumination. Talking about a real problem isn't weakness. Sometimes you need advice. Sometimes something genuinely needs to change. The problem begins when talking about the problem becomes a substitute for dealing with it. You complain about the same person, job, or situation. You replay it in your head. Days pass, but nothing moves. Research distinguishes between different functions of complaining, while rumination is associated with persistent negative emotional states. The Stoic question is simple. What is actually within my own agency right now? Being aware of a problem isn't the same as moving toward a solution. And that brings us to a different kind of weakness, not being stuck in the problem, being afraid to face the action. Number 5. Avoiding discomfort and difficult responsibilities. There are things you know you need to do, the conversation you've been avoiding, the work you've been postponing, the habit you've promised yourself you'll change. Then discomfort appears, and you find a reason to escape it. Research on experiential avoidance has found meaningful associations between persistent avoidance and poorer psychological outcomes. Procrastination research also links delay with task aversiveness, impulsiveness, self-efficacy, and aspects of self-control and conscientiousness. The Stoics didn't believe suffering itself was the goal. Virtue was the goal. They argued that necessary hardship could train courage and self-control. Musonius Rufus emphasized practicing philosophy through action and training. So stop running from every necessary difficulty. Have the conversation. Start the work. Keep your commitment. Because the final habit goes deeper than how other people see you. Number 6. Repeatedly breaking your own commitments. This one has less to do with your reputation and more to do with your relationship with yourself. You say you'll start tomorrow. Tomorrow comes. You promise yourself you'll stop wasting time. Then you do it again. One broken promise doesn't define you. But research consistently shows that intentions do not always translate into behavior. There is an intention-behavior gap between what people plan to do and what they actually do. Wanting to change isn't the same as consistently acting on that intention. So don't always make bigger promises, make smaller ones, then keep them. For Stoic philosophers such as Musonius Rufus, philosophy was meant to be practiced, not merely discussed. Marcus Aurelius's Meditations is filled with personal reflections and reminders about how to live and act. And that's where this whole lesson comes together. The goal isn't to become cold, it isn't to become aggressive, and it isn't to stop feeling emotions. It's to become less controlled by impulses, fears, external approval, and avoidable habits. Because the strongest man isn't necessarily the one who looks powerful to everyone else. He's the one whose actions give him a reason to trust himself. So look back at the 6 habits. Chasing approval, trying too hard to prove yourself, reacting immediately in anger, complaining without moving toward action, avoiding necessary discomfort, and repeatedly breaking your own commitments. Which one are you working on right now? Tell me in the comments. And if you want more practical Stoic lessons on discipline, self-control, and inner strength, subscribe and stay with us.